Hey friends, welcome back to the Castro Valley News live show. We're very happy today. In a few minutes, we are expecting a call in from the Castro Valley Unified School District President, excuse me, Superintendent Ahmadi, to answer some of the questions that you guys posted about the school closures. And she will also kind of give us a state of what's happening with the school closures and what's happening with the Alameda County Office of Education. She's got a better perspective on what's really happening behind the scenes with what's happening with the virus and the school closures. So she is scheduled to call in at around 6:15. And we do have some questions that you guys posted on the page, and we had some other questions from last night's discussion that we had. We had a wonderful interview with Alameda County Sheriff Sergeant Ray Kelly, who gave us some information about the shelter in place. Just kind of bringing you up to speed. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was a very popular post on the page. Safeway, Albertsons, and Whole Foods have announced that they are going to have some reserved hours for seniors. So Safeway and Albertsons are going to be doing reserved hours for senior shopping only, and also, it's seniors and other at-risk populations such as pregnant women, those with compromised immune systems. And those are the folks that have been advised to avoid leaving home as much as possible. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 9 a.m., Safeway and Albertsons will be honoring, they're asking customers to honor that time for the senior citizens. So it doesn't sound like it's a regulation, sounds like it's something that's kind of on the honor system. So please be courteous to senior citizens, no matter what store you're at. If you can, let them go in front of you, if they have, mobility issues, or, if they look like they're, they may not be able to stand up for a long, some of those folks can't stand up for a long time. Just be courteous, let them go in front of you. Just do the right thing. My 2 cents on that aspect. So going back to, what's happening at Safeway and Albertsons, they're asking customers honor the reserved hours of 6 to 9 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays for senior citizens and other at-risk populations such as pregnant women, those with compromised immune systems. In addition to that, Whole Foods has announced in a written statement that starting actually today, their stores in the US and Canada will provide service to customers who are 60 and older 1 hour before the store opens to the public. I'm not certain what hours Whole Foods has. Go ahead, give a look-see online. I think the closest Whole Foods is in Dublin, I believe. No? I'm not sure. Maybe our moderator will find that for us, where the closest Whole Foods is. It's escaping my mind. I know there's one in Berkeley. We almost had a Whole Foods in Castro Valley, but that's a discussion for a different Castro Valley News Live episode. We might touch on that again. And I need to mention to you our sponsor for this episode here. It's a gentleman named Todd Anglin, and you probably know his name. He is he's an insurance gentleman. He is on Grove Way. I think I mentioned last night that he's on Redwood. That was an error. He's on Grove Way. Todd does a lot of things in the community behind the scenes. He's involved in Rotary. He's involved in, he's got his hand in a lot of things that are positive for the community. The services that he provides in an insurance realm, he does auto insurance, home insurance, property insurance, business insurance, life insurance, health insurance, banking services, investment planning services. And like I said, he's just an awesome guy. He's a really nice person, cares a lot about Castro Valley. He's involved in a lot of things. During this time of a lot of businesses being closed, he is open via phone or email, excuse me. He's open via phone or email to answer your questions and help. He's actively working to help educate and provide online and Facebook's resources to help the community during these challenging times. In addition to all of that insurance stuff that he does, like I said, he also provides financial services and banking, mortgage during these record low rates. Give him a ring at 510-537-8100 or teamanglin.com. Again, 510-537-8100 is going to get you in touch with Todd, because their business, I believe, is closed during this the lockdown. Not the lockdown, the shelter in place. So he's your go-to guy if you need any of those services. And like I said, probably third time now, he's someone who cares deeply about our community and is involved in a lot of things. He volunteers a lot of time and gives a lot of his resources and knowledge to a lot of things that are happening in Castro Valley. Good guy, definitely worth looking to first if you're in the market for any of those services. We're in a point right now where we're kind of waiting for the superintendent to ring us in. Noticing today, I went to Lucky's and the lines it wasn't packed. The shelves were pretty bare though. Didn't venture over to Safeway. I did see that the parking lot wasn't as full as I've seen in the past few days. I'm hoping that the hoarding has stopped. And I know I think there was a message that came out from Safeway mentioning something about please don't hoard. Also, I believe Al's Market has some hours that they're open for senior preference. Maybe the moderator can find that. I'm not sure right off the top of my head what those hours are. But I do believe Al's is doing that. And that we're getting a lot of comments that it's audio only, and yes, we're not doing video with these. We don't plan on doing that. I think if you were looking at me and my dog sitting here would just really take away a lot from the conversation. And yes, Dublin is the closest Whole Foods. Thank goodness I wasn't wrong on that. And thank you for the person who corrected me. And there's folks that are just dialing in who are looking for the conversation with Superintendent Ahmadi. She is supposedly calling in at 6:15. And as soon as she calls in, we will give her the floor and let her give us as much information as she has about the school closure and what, there's a lot of variables happening with that. I know the governor, I think he's doing another presser right now. So he may have some additional information. I know there was some pushback. Some people were not happy about the things that he said about school potentially being closed longer than projected. And I think we just don't know what's going on. We don't have the test here yet. And there you go. Al's senior hour is 8 to 9 a.m. Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that. I've tried to make a mental note of that, and it completely escaped. And I know, again, a lot of people are wondering why there's no video. We'd love to have like a graphic there of Castro Valley News or the phone number when we do the call-in thing, but it's something new. I don't know if there are too many other people on Facebook are doing this, but it seemed like a cool idea, and it looks like you guys like it, and I appreciate your support, and I really appreciate you guys participating, and folks like Alex there, and he knows who he is. He's sent in tons of tips. You guys are the heart and soul of Castro Valley News. If it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to get the information that we do to get to you. So I've done this before, and I can't do it enough. Tipping the cap to you for always sending in news tips and information and stuff about our town. It's really the people here who make this town unique and special and very amazing. There's no other word that can describe Castro Valley. The people here, just amazing folks. Since we have a couple minutes before the superintendent will ring in, just bear with me. I want to see if there's any comments from you guys that if someone was listening to the commercial. Yeah, check out Todd Anglin. He's a good guy. He cares a lot about Castro Valley. Just looking to see if there's any other questions, comments here. And again, if you're on the page, there is a link for questions that you can pose to the superintendent. And there's not a lot. There's a couple. Post your questions if you want to get the superintendent's ear and have your question answered immediately, like right now, within the next half hour or so. Post it up, and we will make sure that it goes before her, and that she'll address it. Excuse me. Yes, there's no video because there's duct tape over the camera on my computer, because I think if you saw me sitting here fidgeting and my dog behind me snoring, it would just take a lot away from the conversation. Actually, if you were watching my dog snoring, it would be very amusing, because he barks in his sleep, and it's it's the funniest thing you'll probably ever see. He's an amazing little dude. Anyways, like I said, we're waiting for around 6:15ish for the superintendent to call in. Elizabeth says Chabot Market. The Lake Chabot Market is open for takeout. Dino's is open for takeout. Pete's Hardware are doing what they can to help people. I think they had some problems with the service thing that they were doing, and they're working around that. Did I say Dino's? Dino's is open. There is next to the ice creamery is Wen's Cafe. They are open. A lot of these places are doing DoorDash, and you can do takeout. Genghis near Lucky's is open. They're doing takeout. JP's is doing takeout. If you know of another restaurant that is doing takeout or doing DoorDash, post it up. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know any other places that is doing the takeout. This is a terrible, troubling time. I went on my bicycle through the village this morning, and a lot of places are closed. The Hallmark place is closed. Ray Talbot Salon, I believe, is closed. It's such a tough time. And when these places do open up again, hopefully sooner than later, please open up your pocketbooks and support these businesses. If nothing else, go in and say hello and say, gosh, I'm glad you're open. Castro Valley News will not close. But getting back to the local businesses. So we have a call. Hopefully that's a superintendent. That's not my dog. That's my ringtone. Castro Valley News.
Ahmadi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well.
Thank you so much for calling in. We do have some questions for you, but where are we at with the schools? I know you've got your finger on the pulse with the Alameda County Office of Education and all of the higher ups. Where are we at now? What's happening?
So what do you mean, where are we at with schools?
What is
you mean closure?
Yes. Is there anything new? What's happening now?
No, there is nothing new. Right now, we are to be closed. We are shelter in place or stay in place as everyone else is until April 7th.
Okay.
At this point.
Gotcha. And I know there's been a lot of kind of discussion about what the governor said yesterday about the potential extension. Do you have any insight on that or any thoughts?
Yes. So this morning we actually had a conference call we had a webinar, that we participated with the state superintendent. And there was also representation from the governor's office as well as the California School Boards Association. And at this point, there is no directive to extend that day. Of course, everything can change, but I think I completely understand that hearing the governor say something about the schools possibly being closed until the end of the year is very concerning, and we are all anxious. But what we heard today is that the governor's comment was basically in relations to his conversation with his children, trying to prepare them for, a possibility. Basically saying things could change, we do not know, and things like that. And that's why we wanted to confirm that this morning with the state superintendent and with all those folks that I just mentioned from the governor's office as well as CSBA, that is not the directive at this point.
Great.
It was just, I think he was really trying to kind of make us all aware, and in his conversation, he was just sharing a conversation with his children that this, things are changing, and we don't really know. It's day by day, it's week by week, it's pretty much hour by hour.
Yeah.
But there's no directive or information that we will be past April 7th at this point. As I said, things could change. That's
great. Great. Thank you so much for that. Was there anything else that you wanted to let the listeners know in regards to what's happening, or?
Of course.
Go for it.
I think some of the questions that might be coming up are about activities and some really important events that our students look forward to. There are some seminal events in our students' lives, especially in high school, and they want to know what will happen. At this point, it's really unclear when we can have normalcy, as you know. Right now, I think a lot of folks might actually be asking about spring break as well. Mm-hmm. Because our spring break is actually from the 13th to the 17th. And we were before the directive from the county health department to April 7th, we had informed families that we would be back by April 1st, and now it's April 7th, and our spring break is from 13 to 17. At this point, our spring break is scheduled for that same time, for the 13 to 17. Okay. If anything changes, I will absolutely inform families as soon as possible. But that's where we are with that. I think I'm just trying to think of all the questions that we are hearing here and there. Online instruction has already started. Actually, distance learning, I think it's really important for everyone to know, distance learning is basically, it involves instructor and the student. It could be, but it's off-site. So it could be online. It could be packets that students are doing. It could be telephonically. So it's basically you are not on site. As you know, students are not allowed to be on site, and teachers are working with them. Students in elementary school, especially lower grades, kindergarten, first and second, most often would be getting packets, and they've already picked those up. In fact, today we were just passing out Chromebooks to students who needed to pick them up, and packets of work for elementary students who had not picked them up. But most of the instruction is happening virtually online, especially for older students. So all of those things actually already started. I have to tell you, I am so proud of our teachers and staff who have worked so hard, even during the weekend, to prepare for all of this. And they are jumping in, doing everything they can to support our students, and our custodians, our child nutrition, everybody is working. Our warehouse, our administrators, everyone is working to make sure that we can support our students the best we can.
Castro Valley has always been just blessed with wonderful teachers and amazing staff.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Today, we handed out 200 meals to families who came. We are going to inform families that we will add a couple of pop-up sites as well. But it was just wonderful to see some of the students and families who came. We also had our social worker and our behavioral health coordinator there passing out papers to families. Here are some activities you can do with your students. We are also constantly monitoring what we can, what's happening, but also informing families on our website. But we are adding some more information for families to take advantage of as well by the minute. Let's see. I think there were a couple of other questions that we kept hearing because families have picked up. For example, if they were packaged, those who are getting instruction online don't have the same question as those who have packets that they picked up. They might look at it and say, okay, so this was for 2 weeks, so what happens after that? Do not worry. I want our families not to worry about the fact that that they are not at school. Our teachers are doing a phenomenal job keeping in touch with families. Our principals are doing the same thing. They will communicate with students exactly what they need to be doing. And if there are additional things that they need, we will get them prepared and make sure that students have access to them. I don't want families to worry about that at all. And that's why our teachers and staff are available for questions so that they can respond to any questions or needs that students may have. Those were kind of the questions that we were getting or we have seen here and there. If you have any additional ones, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Yes, there's a couple. Andrea asked, what happens if students were not able to pick up a Chromebook on the day they made them available?
Okay, all they have to do, no problem. All they have to do is email the principal, and the principal will arrange for them to pick one up.
Great, that was easy. Katrina asks, what about grading as high school students and teachers struggle with this new format? Distance learning distant learning does not work well for many great students.
Yeah, so I think we all have to recognize and that we have to be more flexible, as this is new not only to students, but it's also new to our teachers to do this all day long. Many of them are extremely capable and constantly use virtual learning and additional online learning that our students are involved in. But having everything online and doing distance learning in this way for this long is new to our teachers too. So we'll have to be patient as they figure out how they are collecting work, communicating with students, grading. But what we want people to know is when teachers are collecting work and they are assessing students, it's most importantly to see what else students need. It's really to drive their instruction. It's for them to see if students actually, the information they received or the activity they participated in, did they understand? Are they able to perform the tasks that they've given them? And if not, what do they need to do next? So our teachers will be communicating that with families. And I think I just want us to remember that this is new to everybody, and we will do everything we can to support students. Our teachers will be working together, even virtually. But I know that this is a concern for students, but I want them to know our teachers are actually assessing you, most importantly, to see what else you need that they can do to support you.
Carol is wondering what will happen to the seniors. Will there be a graduation ceremony when this is all over? And what about those students who still need credits to graduate?
Yeah, so basically, first of all, graduation is not until May, but I know the question might be, well, since we're not in school, I have to say, right now, students are actually engaged in learning, even though it's distance learning. So it's not like they have checked out and they are not coming to school. This is none of their fault. This is something unprecedented. What I'm very happy about is that what we heard today is that the state of California has actually asked for a waiver for Casp assessments, for the standardized assessments that we have in April and May, that will ultimately give teachers additional time to actually be instructing students instead of giving those assessments. So we will do everything we can to catch them up. They will not be, their graduation will not be jeopardized because they did not attend school or they were distance learning. And if students were not on track before this happened, normally every year what we do, counselors and principals and teachers work with students, and this is the time after the semester ends and after the quarters end, they actually look at who needs credits, who is credit deficient, and there are many ways to make up credit. Some students were already transitioning to finish their credit or to make up those credits at Redwood before. We also have online opportunities for students now through Edgenuity. And we will continue to have summer school as well. So just whatever we can do to make sure that students are on track, we will continue to do as we have always done. But I want students to know that because of coronavirus and school closure, that should not be the reason for them not to graduate. We still, expect students to graduate. That's why we are continuing to teach through distance learning, although it may be different. But we will do everything we can to help them make up whatever they need to make up.
Sarah is wondering, for the students that received packets, how do they turn them in?
So communicate with teachers. Usually if they have a packet, it does tell them how, and if it doesn't, that's why teachers are available. Every teacher is available online, so you can email them and ask them. They may ask for families to bring them in after 2 weeks, or they may ask for you to send them back electronically if possible. That all depends on each teacher.
And I apologize if you had mentioned this already. Meghana is wondering, are there going to be regular state tests?
That's what I was mentioning, is right now, the state of California has asked for a waiver.
Okay.
To basically not have the standardized assessments and those tests that the student is probably, or the parent is mentioning. We do have to get that waiver approved by the federal government. I honestly do not see any reason for denying it. as students are not in school, and although they're learning through distance learning, it's not the same, obviously, as being in class. And to come back after having distance learning to take those assessments do not make much sense to me at all. So we have been advocating for that. Our governor has been amazing, supporting us, our state superintendent. So at this point, we are hoping the answer is no.
Great.
That we are not going to have those assessments. But again, we have to wait for a final approval.
Angela is asking if there are people at school sites to register her student for the next school year. Her daughter is going into middle school and still needs to register. Can that be done online?
Absolutely. We are actually doing registration online. I will make sure, we have information on our website, but we will make sure to include that as a part of communication to families. So they do not have to worry at all. We will do that all online.
Great. Maureen wonders, how can parents keep their kids on task with schoolwork? She's checking Aries, but is there a way to check the status of their work? She has 4 kids and wants to make sure they're keeping up with all their classwork.
Yeah, I don't have the exact date right now to give you, but I can tell you that as we move forward, Aries will be, it will be the grades or the assignments will be corrected just as they were before. Again, that's a great question to ask specific teachers if you have that, but basically Aries, we will enter grades or assignments as they have done before. But for elementary students, it's best to just email your teacher and ask. I can honestly say that although this is new, people are coming with all sorts of ways to let students know. You know, when they turn in work, through Google Classroom, through email, and all sorts of ways.
Carol is wondering about Senior Awards Night.
I have to check my calendar to see when that is. I believe it's much later than April 7th.
I think so too.
So my answer to that would be, my hope is that we come back April 7th, and then of course after spring break, and hopefully things have gotten better. This curve has been flattened and we can have these activities.
Yes.
If we get close to that point and the directive is still to keep social distancing, which it is possible, we will have to see if we could actually hold events like that, because we do have to and want to follow the guidance of the health department as well as CDC and the governor to make sure that we do our part to end or diminish this the impact of this pandemic. And then we have to just figure out different ways of doing some of these things. We have figured out that we need to do distance learning and use a lot of technology. And perhaps, as we move forward, we can continue to be creative about the ways to, different ways of doing some of the things that are so important to students, as well as heeding the directives of the health department.
For Castro Valley, is this closure having some sort of impact on the ADA that may be concerning to you?
No. I believe it's Senate Bill 117. Governor Newsom, again, worked very hard to make sure, as always, to support us so far. They have passed legislation in Sacramento that actually allows us to basically, we are not punished, or our funding is not impacted by the ADA. What they will use is full months of ADA throughout the year.
Oh, that's great.
So, yes.
Sean is wondering why spring break was not moved.
So spring break, this is a part of what we actually work with all of our employees to our bargaining units to come up with and agree to. Changing spring vacation was one possibility that we considered. Working with our team and our employees. However, there are families who have plans during that week, during the 10th to 13th to 17th. We also have students who would have been, and then of course in the end it ended up being that we have to be off until the 7th. So you can change spring break, but I have to say CDC's recommendation for school closures, actually the recommendation is for longer than 2-3 weeks. So moving the spring break, yes, would have meant that those last 4 days that students are coming back, they would have been on spring break, and that is still something we have to just wait and see. But it is a part of a decision that's made the year prior about spring break.
Okay. Olivia has a concern about English learning students, that the information is in English. How can parents communicate with teachers? I'm assuming the same information is in Spanish as well, correct?
The information that we provide at the district level is in various languages. If a parent has questions, that's a great question. So the students actually the program is tailored to their needs. We actually have a program called Imagination for English learners that we will also have available for everybody. But as far as parents, because to your point, they need to help the students and the directions are in English, we will actually make sure that we have opportunities for, first of all, they can always email the teacher, and then if we need to give it to them in a different language, we can. They will work with the principal or email the principal. But that's a really good comment that I will absolutely discuss with our team.
Great. How are you holding up with this? This has to be an extremely trying time for you.
I'm just grateful. I am just honestly so grateful to be in a place where every single individual, the parents, the students, the teachers, and all of the staff really have one thing in mind, and that's to help each other. And this is an amazing community. I can't tell you how happy I am when I hear people say, what can we do for students? What can we do for you? What can we do for the school district? So we're just working really hard to make sure we stay on top of things. And I know we do not have all the answers. Neither does the State Department of Education or the state as a whole. This is new to all of us. We're doing well. I have a great team, as I said. We have an amazing governing board who supports all of our efforts, and they have put in place policies and procedures that really allow us to do this work. So, and thank you for your part in getting the message out to families. Oh,
it's my honor. Carol is wondering if what the governor said is true about schools not reopening at all. We kind of covered that. But the second component of her question is interesting. Would children have to repeat their grade level if that were to happen?
Okay, that's a great question. No, children would not be, and that's kind of what I was trying to convey, is that students cannot be punished for something that is not any of their doing. The fact that school closed doesn't mean that students will have to repeat grades. We just have to find all sorts of ways to help them catch up. That's going to be our goal.
Yeah.
Throughout the year when they come back, and obviously we have summer school as well if there needs to be any additional support for students who are not making the growth that they need to be making. But the expectation is not for them to have to repeat the grade because of this closure.
And that's providing that they're diligent in keeping up with all of the packets of the
Yes.
online. Great.
Yes, because and that's the piece that's really important, is the communication between the student's family and the teacher, to make sure that if they have questions, let's say they have been given an assignment and it's not easy for them to handle, or they have questions. That's why that constant communication is important, so that we can do the best we can so children do not fall far behind.
Perfect. I'm not seeing any other questions, and I'm sure you have a packed schedule of other things you need to attend to. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I'm really honored that you took the time for us to answer these questions. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the work you're doing in the community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really do want to thank our families.
Yes.
And students who are having to make tremendous sacrifices to manage this ever-evolving situation. And obviously, our staff is working so hard to do that. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great evening. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it, folks. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. Wonderful questions, and another huge thank you to the superintendent for calling in and sharing her expertise and her information. Lastly, I'm going to say another thank you to the gentleman who made the show happen, which is Todd Anglin, he is on Grove Way, 2877. I think I mentioned Redwood Road last night. I'm sorry. Todd is involved in so much stuff in the community, Rotary. He's helping out the rodeo parade. He's involved in that. He's got a huge heart that is full of Castro Valley. He is an awesome guy. He loves our town. He loves our people. He's one of those folks in town that just, you talk to for a while, and he just makes you glad that he's your neighbor. From a business standpoint, he's your go-to guy for auto insurance, home insurance, property insurance, business insurance, life insurance, health insurance, banking services, investment planning services. His phone number is 510-537-8100. And due to the shelter in place, you can imagine his office is not open. But like I said, you can reach him through his website, teamanglin.com. Or you can give him a ring, 510-537-8100. One more time, 510-537-8100. Thanks again to everyone who posted questions for the superintendent. Thank you to the superintendent for taking the time and answering these questions. It just shows how much the superintendent cares about our community and our folks. And with that said, I don't think I introduced myself. I am Robert, and this has been Castro Valley News Live. We will likely see you again next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Not sure what the topic will be. Maybe we'll talk about something lighter. Maybe we'll talk about fast food in town or something. Or if you have a topic question, feel free to shoot us a message through the page. If there's an issue or an item or a topic that you'd like for us to talk about, please let us know. Thank you so much. Stay safe and be healthy.